Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little delayed, and I'm here now for our Thursday oil study topic. And I hope you're all doing wonderfully today. We also do have a webinar coming up at noon on the power of the mitochondria in our cells and how essential oils really provide us with. There's just a little bit of a glare. I'm trying to switch that up. I'm sitting on the floor today, not at my desk. So if you haven't registered for that, I recommend registering for it. The event is up in the events section of Corazon Essentials here on Facebook. So if you haven't registered for that, I recommend it. You can then get all of the recordings really easily. And I'm going to post up some resources for you here if you want to look at some past webinars as well. So we have a lot of education. Today's study is going to be a bit of a deeper dive into Chinese medicine and a little bit less about the oils, but I promise you I will get there. I really wanted to talk about the Shen because I saw a really powerful, some feedback that I posted up about our new oil yarrow and how it's really impacting many people's psyches in really revealing some deeper healing. So in that conversation was a few words that were relating to Chinese medicine and some of the aspects of our emotional components that we have within our different organ systems that relate to our psyche and our emotional well-being. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So it's a little bit more in depth. I might say it's more of an advanced, it's not an intro oil study. We have a lot of those though. If you want to even put in the search engine up by Corazon Essentials, you can always type in hashtag Thursday's oil study and that'll bring up a couple of them if you're looking for something a little bit more introductory. So if you're here with me live, I see a few of you are coming on. I want to know, do you know what the Shen is? Have you had acupuncture? Do you understand? Has your acupuncturist ever said to you, oh, you have good Shen today, right? That's something that you'll hear us acupuncturists say, oh, she has really good Shen, right? So there's a brightness in our face that can be a little bit of a clue to the state of our Shen. And I'm still getting a really intense glare. So I'm sorry. I'm actually going to move back to my desk. So I'm going to take a little journey with me. It's not going to be long, I promise. We're going to move over there. Okay. Wow. That's better. Okay. So I hope that's better for you too. I'll be right back. Give a chance for a few of us to come on. Okay, so the Shen is usually translated as spirit, but it's spirit in the body. It's spirit embodied. Our translation from Chinese characters to actually English language, it's not always just so simple, because if you ever to look at the Chinese characters and the beauty and the artistry that goes into them, there's a lot in them that is connected to spirit and connecting heaven and earth in a really beautiful way. That's pretty much drawn in almost all of their characters. There's a remembering that spirit is part of us, is within us, and we are within, right? So that is part of Chinese medicine. So I'm going to just read to you some notes about the Shen, and I want to have you understand this because I get a lot of questions about emotional health and what oils to use. And the reason why I'm sharing it from this perspective is because it isn't always, oh, you have anxiousness or anxiety, use this oil because it worked for me, right? It isn't always that way. It's very personal. There are layers. We are like, you've probably heard, we're like an onion and we continue to peel back our layers. And as we continue to pull back these layers, we see oh, with this anxiety is a part of this. And then you see another layer, and then you see, oh, this organ system's being impacted by that. So this is why I wanted to talk about this, to help you in your selection of your oils, to help you understand that there's layers. And that if one oil doesn't work, if for example, my choice oil for anxiety would be neroli, but if neroli, if you don't even like the smell of it, it's probably not your choice oil. And that might have something to do with the organ system that's being impacted. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of notes. So thanks for your patience, and thanks for just being here with me to learn a little bit something different. So again, Shen is usually translated as spirit and refers to that aspect of our being that is spiritual. So not defining our religion, but our spiritual self, okay? It embodies consciousness, emotions, and thought. According to traditional Chinese medicine, Shen is said to preside over all activities that take place in the mental, spiritual, and creative planes. So it's really the foundation of our existence is the spirit within. And you all have seen when you first meet someone and their eyes are just bright and shiny, that's good Shen. And good Shen doesn't necessarily mean that there's good health every time, because sometimes we could be actually very, very ill. We could have cancer or something very, very strongly ill, but we could be at peace and feel happy. We could feel happiness and joy and at peace because we have been working internally and we have peace in our life, and we could still have good Shen, although our body might not be working. So good Shen and health, they're related and they're also individual. So we consider in Chinese medicine the Shen to be one of three treasures. So these three treasures really are the basis of life in Chinese medicine. And Shen is, so first we have Jing, and this is when we're born. We come in with a certain amount of essence for life. Some of us have a little bit more Jing, and some of us have a little bit less Jing, and that might show up, for example, in the bones or the teeth. But, you know, it might be a little, like you might see some poor teeth would be a little bit of a less quality of the essence that we came through with at this lifetime. It's also our life force is one of those three treasures, which you've probably heard very often is called Qi, right? Qi, vital energy force. In Ayurvedic, it's more related to as prana, but this is like that life force, that energy. Oh, my life force feels weak, or I feel strong. That's our Qi. So we have Shen, Jing, and Qi, but I'm only going to really be talking about the Shen today. So through Chinese medicine, it will be said that the Shen is what radiates ourselves out into the world, directs our wisdom, our emotional well-being, and also our ability to see all sides of an issue. So that ability to be grounded and contemplative versus personally invested or taking it personally. So it's really about, you know, there's the yin and yang sign where it's merging together. Everyone knows that symbol, which comes from Chinese medicine. And this is the same, that concept of the inner and the outer. Sometimes the philosophy of Chinese medicine is a little difficult to grasp because it asks us to step out of our Western mind of everything needing to be linear, one first and then the other, and it takes us into more of a circular learning. And I love this because when we have this circular learning, it gives us freedom to know that we don't have to know everything right now. So these concepts that I'm feeding you and sharing with you this morning, just take them in, let them wash over you. Don't worry too much about getting something right or wrong. Just enjoy the concept and see how it relates. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some oils and how they impact us differently. So I'm going to go a little bit of a slower pace this morning and really take us through the Shen. So the Shen refers to us that the aspect of our being that looks to the universe around us. And so it's not really just about the emotions. And this is a place where maybe in the beginning we think it's our emotions, but it really isn't. It's this inner and outer. So the Shen draws our attention actually towards the divine, towards this real knowing that there's more than just me, more than just here, that there is something mysterious and grand for us. Now, so it contributes to our wisdom. It contributes to our relationship to virtue. It also contributes to our relationships with being calm, as well as it maintains our whole being to be grounded and centered. So the thing is that our spirit actually in the body can be harmed by external factors. So this Shen can be harmed by external factors if we're not maintaining our vitality through good habits, through good mind thoughts, through our physical body, and also adequate nourishment. So it also can be damaged by excessive emotions. So what does excessive emotions mean? So excessive emotions could be that we can't move forward. We get stuck or possibly ruminating through maybe a betrayal has happened or grief has a hold that we can't move through. These kinds of stronger excessive emotions can take hold and impact the Shen, where the Shen starts to dim. But the Shen is always revitalizing. It can be revitalized. It can always come back forward. And that's something very beautiful to understand about the spirit, is that the spirit of our being is always whole. It's just about kind of peeling back the layers and reconnecting, right? Our connection to spirit can be forgotten. So disharmony of the Shen can manifest as things like anxiety, insomnia, as I said, the lackluster in the eyes, or muddled thinking, forgetfulness, chronic restlessness. And maybe in severe cases, this is what can lead towards mental illness, which would then lead towards things like depression, mania, anxieties, very intense anxieties, panic attacks, things like this. So in Chinese medicine, we really, really recommend moving a little slower through exercises and things like Qigong, Tai Chi. Cultivating exercises are very good for the Shen. But our essential oils are also very good for the Shen, and that's what I want to talk to you more about today. And what was inspired this for me was this feedback about our yarrow palm. So many of you probably don't have it yet. This is a new oil that's coming out in December, so I'm a little early with this, but I'm going to talk about other oils as well. Our yarrow palm is really a powerful oil. It's incredible for our skin. It's incredible for reducing inflammation, the inflammation pathway internally. It's also really helpful for lipid metabolism, which equals balancing cholesterol levels. So this is a really, really helpful oil on many, many ways. And it also can help with reducing anxieties and calming the nervous system. But because it's a new oil, we've gotten some feedback, and I want to share this one. This is from Dr. Mika Kru. She's also a Chinese medicine practitioner. And she because the other thing that this does is it helps support our metabolism, and people are losing a lot of weight with it. And what we have discovered through the experience of this oil is that people that are using a lot of it because they want to lose weight are also having a lot of emotions and healing come up. So I want to share this with you. I did post up this report, but I'm going to share it with you here, is that this is a really powerful quote: with great power comes responsibility. So when we're working with our emotions, when we're working with things like our spirit and our energies, those deeper, profound internal energies, we want to have reverence. So when we hear something like, oh, the yarrow palm is really helping us really reveal some deeper wounding, we want to have reverence. We don't want to just take the oil and, oh, I'm losing weight, and take the oil. We want to really understand that this is a process, that we want to listen to our body. We want to watch our results. We want to see how our whole being is taking in this new oil. So Dr. Mika said, let's talk about fat cells, and the process of losing weight physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yarrow Palm is a very powerful facilitator in this process, but it's helping us deflate the fat cells, so it's melting through and revealing some stored physical, mental, and emotional internal toxins that we have not processed yet, okay? So Yarrow Palm helps calm our nervous system. And so when the nervous system is calm, the body, mind, spirit, and Shen can actually help us with that opportunity to heal. So although some stronger feelings are coming up around as people are losing weight and around this oil, they're actually given this grand opportunity to heal. And with our other oils, we have really great support system. So start slow in December when you get this beautiful oil, and trust your experience. Make sure that you have support. So if things are surfacing that you are needing extra support besides just maybe an assistant oil, tell your friends, hey, I'm going through this process, I'm shedding and releasing, and things are coming up for me. Or find a really good therapist or someone who can be a support system for you while you're going through that massive transformation. So it also is a really important thing to realize that when we go through any kind of transformation, we peel another layer back, we peel another layer back. And the Shen, we have to trust our deepest part of ourselves. And the Shen is one of those places where if these emotions are coming up, we don't want to repress them back down. We want to be able to work with them. So a couple of other assistant oils that I love. One of them happens to be available today. It's a limited time oil. It's not very available often, is the blend Beautiful. But we do have it now in a body spray, so you can access it that way as well. But this is called the Captivating Blend, but I'm going to tell you that this is one of the more joyful combinations because it has frankincense and bergamot in it. Those two oils are very, very good for our mental and emotional plane. The frankincense is going to really uplift on a deeper level of the more depressive kind of energy, where the bergamot is more cheerful. It's going to help with more cheerfulness. So the combination of that, and also ease any anxiety. So the combination of having those two in this is a very powerful one. And most of us like to use it as a perfume. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. But it's a very good oil to also really support the mental and emotional plane. So you can put it on your heart as well, down here. I love this oil. It may not be for you, but this is a very good oil to work with. All of the floral oils are going to be very good to treat the head. If you imagine a flower, the flower is like the head of the plant. So anything that's going on in the mind and the emotions from this part of our body, we can really look to the flowers to support. But let's just talk about, for example, we have neroli and then we have magnolia. I don't have my neroli here, but we have neroli and magnolia. And so you would think, well, what's the difference between them? They're very different florals, but they're both very, very good to support the more anxiousness feelings and also uplifting. But magnolia is more grounding and more anchoring and more fortifying, whereas neroli is more exuberant and helps you bloom and blossom, okay? So there's subtleties, and this is why in the beginning I said, for those of you that are just joining, that this is a call more about opening your intuition to understand that, for example, lavender isn't always the answer for the anxious feelings. We have a lot of different oils that can really support different subtle energetic pieces that we're working with. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions on this, and maybe some of this is not landing. So I want to hear back from you to let me know what you're hearing and what you're what you're curious about, because I'm going to go into a deeper level now. Let's see what you learn and what you like about this. So in the beginning, I mentioned that the Shen is the overall of looking over, but we actually have 5 aspects of the Shen, or you could say 5 Shens, because the Shens all relate to our organ system. So our main big master Shen would be related to what organ do you think? The heart, right? The heart. In Chinese medicine, they say it's the emperor. We could say the empress, but it's the leader of all the other organs, our heart. And you know that. You can feel that. We know this in this emotional way. But we have 5. Okay, so this is the heart in the Shen is overseeing the rest, but we also have different spirits for each, some of the other organ systems, not all of them, but the spleen has the spirit, which is called the Yi. The lung has a spirit, which is called the Po. The kidney has a spirit, which is called the Zhi. And then the liver has a spirit, which is called the Han. And why I'm sharing this with you is because the Han, the spirit of the liver, is often an aspect that we can work with when we're working with the oils and we're working with our irritability, our crankiness, our frustration, our anger, our I think I said it, but I'm not sure, our irritability. And so this is a time in our life on this planet, in this country particularly, where a lot is coming up for people, where these kinds of emotions that I just listed out are being experienced. And what I'm realizing as I'm seeing this is that when we're talking about yarrow again, what I've learned here is that yarrow has a very, very profound impact on the liver. So it really impacts the hun, the spirit of the liver. So it's going to release stagnant qi. Remember I said in the beginning we have 3 treasures. Qi is one of them, our life force. So releasing this stagnant, stuck energy, qi, is very powerful. And when we do that, when we exercise, when we get acupuncture, when we even sweat a little in like a sauna, we're moving through stagnant qi. We're actually supporting our physical body in releasing toxins and renewing our cells. What happens with the yarrow, though, is that when we're releasing that stagnant qi and we're moving things faster because it's speeding up our metabolism, or it's not speeding up our metabolism, I'm sorry, that's not correct. It's impacting our metabolism to work correctly. It's righting our metabolism. These deeper repressed angers and resentments might start to come up. So because of this, we want to, again, approach with reverence, and we also want to make sure that we have our accompaniments, we have our friends. So, okay, I'm going to enter into a process with yarrow palm. Yarrow palm has pomegranate oil with it. It's our first nutritive combination. And I promise to go into the actual properties and the depths of yarrow palm in another oil study so that it can be on its own. But if you're going to go into a process with this, what I would really like to recommend is that if you know you have a tendency towards more anxiousness or towards more depressiveness or towards a certain kind of mental, emotional state, that you match yourself up with your other favorite oil and join that process together. So for example, because I have frankincense here, you could say, okay, that there's been some depression, and yet I've also had some weight gain, so I'm going to use this yarrow palm internally, help bring my cholesterol levels back into balance, as well as I'm going to use the frankincense touch every single day on all my pulse points, 3 times a day, to support my processing. Okay? Does that make sense? I just really want to hear if that's making sense for you all when you watch this, to let me know if you understand. So just know when you're starting with some of our stronger oils, like copaiba is one of those, or copaiba, however you say it, apples or oranges. Copaiba is also one of those oils where it's profoundly calming on the nervous system. So when our nervous system actually settles, our Shen can come in and inform and say, there's some stuff here. Let's look at it. Let's work on it. Let's acknowledge it so that we can let it go. We can move through it. So a couple other oils that I just want to make mention of as I say goodbye, and hope that you enjoyed a little touch of Chinese medicine about the Shen. So geranium is a fantastic oil. Again, it's a floral. Geranium is wonderful to support the liver. So geranium could be another really beautiful oil choice to pair with yarrow palm. You could place that geranium over your liver directly. I would also say over your spleen. But let's say you're somebody who has more of the ruminating kind of obsessive thinking, overthinking, you even made a decision, but you're still trying to make that decision, that kind of mind. That's, remember I said the 5 Shen, that's where we're going into more the Yi, which is the spirit of the spleen. So we could pull in an oil like rosemary. Rosemary is very helpful in making decisions. So you're starting to understand how I'm encouraging you to start to think intuitively, and then think a little bit, just let this information seep in a little bit. Hi, Nancy. So yes, geranium is a great one. All our citrus oils, every single one of them are really, really beautiful to support us in the diffuser, uplifting our mood. They're really cheerful and bright. And I love combining them even with a little bit of peppermint, right? Like, so wild orange and peppermint in the diffuser during the day is wonderfully clearing. So we just got 3 new citrus oils, the kumquat, the clementine, and what was the other one? I have it downstairs. I have to go look. But all of the citrus oils, either in your water, in the diffuser, are really beautiful to brighten and uplift. And then we also, I just want to make mention that we also have very, the other one that we might have some wrestling with is if our gut health isn't doing well, our mental state can kind of shrivel, and then also that can affect the Shen, like we said, sometimes physical things. So sometimes something as simple as adding in a probiotic into your RPB Assist, there we are, into your routine is a very helpful way to support the mental aspects, right? The serotonin in our gut. There's a lot, we know now that we have a gut brain, right, inside there. So we want to know that all of the oils have their individual specific ways to work with them, but we can also layer them and work with them in a variety of ways. So I just want to open that door for you to really explore it and think, well, is it my kidneys, right? Does my low back feel weak? And am I having very weak will? Because the Zhi is the spirit of the kidney. So if you keep saying, I'm going to do the cleanse, right? I do a cleanse with all of you 2 times a year, and every time it comes around, you're like, I'm going to do the cleanse. And then the cleanse starts and you have maybe 2 or 3 days. And then you're like, well, I don't know. It's not the right time. That might mean that the Zhi, the spirit of the kidneys, needs a little extra support, needs a little energy. So in Qigong, I would say rub your hands together and then 36 times rub them over your kidneys every single morning and night. Try that for 3 weeks. See if that helps your will. And then you can top it off with any of the kidney supporting oils like juniper berry. Okay, so it's another way you can work. Additionally, if you're supporting that will and that fortitude, you could bring in the magnolia, because the magnolia is also going to give you that strength. So let me see, the last one, the Po. I want to talk about the Po. The Po is the spirit of anyone? I see some acupuncturists here. The lungs, our breath. The Po. The Po happens to be very, very powerful. It's very powerful because the breath is the last thing that goes when we die. The Po is also what can get very weighed down by grief. Grief often impacts our lungs. So all of the furs, our Douglas fir, we used to have white fir. I wonder if it'll ever come back. We have Siberian fir, and then we have some other furs in all of our holiday oils. The holiday peace, holiday joy, and now we have holiday spice. And they all have different furs, balsam fir, some furs that we don't have individually. And those are all extremely supportive to the respiratory system, which means they're extremely supportive to the Po, the spirit of the lungs, which is very helpful because during the holidays, a lot of the time, many of us can experience grief. I know I do. A lot of my family are no longer here on this plane with us anymore, and I really miss them. You know, I have many, many years of really incredible, full, exuberant Christmases with lots and lots of people, and most of them are on the other side now. So there's grief in my family at Christmas. So diffusing the holiday joy is so good for all of our Shen. It really, it brightens us, it lightens us, it elevates the mood, brings in that Christmas spirit, but it also helps us on those deeper levels process maybe some unspoken grief, right? We're not all sitting around saying, oh, this song makes me think of my great grandmother and then crying. It's not how we always are all working around, but there's repression perhaps of that. So diffusing the oils during this time of the year is really, really helpful for that spirit of the lung. So 5 Shens, major Shen, the Shen of the heart, which is really what's expressed in the face, bright Shen. That's really about our spirit. And then we have our other Shens, our spleen, lung, kidney, and liver. Spleen would be Yi, lung would be Po, liver is the Hun, and then the kidney is the Zhi. So I hope that gives you just a little bit of a taste of the energy and the spirit of Chinese medicine and how that can really support in your own personal navigations on the deeper side of your essential oil journey. Please let me know if you have questions. You know, I'm always available for some health mapping. If you want to set up a time with me in my schedule to set something up, I'm absolutely available for that. I encourage all of you to check out the Yarrow Palm when it comes out next month, and I promise to bring more on that soon. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for your attention.